Arkansas's most watched sports show, Hooten's Arkansas Football.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hooten's Arkansas Football, our preseason special. In the next half hour, we'll talk about what should be some of the top high school football teams in Arkansas in 2010. And the season is just around the corner. The Simmons First Hootens.com kickoff week has 4 great teams between 8 state title contenders to start the season. On Monday night at UAPB, the place will be rocking as defending 4A state runner-up Lone Oak takes on 8 4A favorite Star City. And then 2 preseason number 1 teams. Watson Chapel from Class 5A takes on Shiloh Christian. People can't wait to see that game on Monday night in Pine Bluff. Then on Thursday at Razorback Stadium in Fayetteville, small school power Charleston takes on speedy Clarksville, and athletic Helena meets 7A West power Rogers Heritage. We'll talk more about the Simmons First Hootens.com kickoff week coming up during this half-hour preseason special of Hooten's Arkansas Football. And let's get started with a look at the big schools, Class 7A and 6A, presented by Baptist Health. Teams from the 7A West have won 5 straight titles. We expect that streak to continue. Bentonville won it all 2 years ago and opens ranked number 1. The Tigers return 3-year starting quarterback Pearson Jean and some mammoth offensive linemen who've helped them win 21 games over the past 2 years. At defending champ Springdale Harbor, 8 starters are back on an offense that averaged 26 points per game last year. Quarterback Ryan Luther was named the state title game MVP last season, and he is one of 19 seniors in Harbor's starting lineup. The top team in Central Arkansas is North Little Rock. Coach Brad Bolding's Wildcats won their first conference title in more than a decade last season, but running back Tim Johnson and most of the playmakers graduated. In Class 6A, teams from the South continue to dominate. Defending state champ El Dorado returns one of Arkansas's better offenses. Senior quarterback Taylor Reed passed for more than 2,300 yards and 21 touchdowns last year. Lake Hamilton has won 30 games and advanced to at least the semifinals each of the past 3 years, but the Wolves lost 3 of their final 5 games last year and must break in a new quarterback this fall. And at Russellville, the Cyclones could storm into the 6A playoffs after battling mostly 7A teams in the regular season. Russellville must replace starters at most positions, but Coach Jeff Holt's Cyclones usually improve late in the year. Here's Hootens.com Class 7A rankings presented by Liberty Bank. Going into the year, Bentonville on top. The top-ranked Tigers have won 3 straight 7A West titles and look to return to Little Rock this December. Number 2 Harbor has played in 2 of the last 3 state championship games, won it all a year ago. And North Little Rock has never played for a state title, but the improving Charging Wildcats won 9 games a year ago. North Little Rock opens the season at Bentonville this year. Number 4 Heritage took eventual state champ Harbor to overtime, as well as winning at Southside. Southside has played in 3 of the last 4 state championships. And starting the second 5, it's West Memphis, competing in Class 7A this season after winning 6 straight conference championships. Little Rock Central has a new coach, Scooter Register, but the Tigers haven't won a game since 2007. Conway checks in at number 11 after the expected starting quarterback decided not to play just 3 days before practice began in early August. Springdale opens at number 12, then it's Catholic, Northside, and Rogers. In Class 6A, defending state champ El Dorado is on top. The Wildcats won it all for the first time last year, could win back-to-back state titles. And in his 3rd season at Jonesboro, Randy Coleman has made the Hurricane a state title contender. Russellville returns just 3 starters on each side of the ball and plays mostly Class 7A teams as a member of that 7A Central Conference during the regular season. Pine Bluff got field turf in the summer, and that should help the Zebras capitalize on their speed. Number 10 Searcy won 4 games last year, which is more than the previous 4 years combined. Number 11 Sheridan hired former college assistant coach Lewis Campbell in the spring, and the Yellow Jackets look to make the playoffs for the 5th straight season. The power in Arkansas's 5A classification shifts to the southeast this year. In Pine Bluff, Watson Chapel opens the season ranked number 1. Watson Chapel dropping down in classification after advancing to the 6A semifinals the past 2 years, and a monster crowd from South Arkansas is expected for Watson Chapel's opener at UAPB when the top-ranked Wildcats open in grand style against nationally ranked Shiloh Christian. As part of SimmonsFirstHootens.com kickoff week, mark your calendar. It's Monday, August 30th at UAPB's Golden Lions Stadium. The West Helena Cougars could stand in the way of Watson Chapel winning the Southeast Conference. West Helena played in the 2008 state championship game and opens 2010 at Reynolds Razorback Stadium against 7A West member Rogers Heritage during SimmonsFirstHootens.com kickoff week.
4 years we've had great success each season. Pretty much been building. We went to the state championship in 08. Had a young group last year that managed to make to the playoff. Expectations are high, and we're trying to get back and try to make it to the state.
Staying in the Southeast, Whitehall won 9 games last year and returned 7 starters on defense, several good skill players, and a solid kicking game.
We're going to miss Larry Ross, of course. He's one of the best running backs we've had at this school in a long time. But we feel like that because the fact that we've got a new football field and artificial turf, we've got an opportunity to practice year-round. We've really changed philosophies just a little bit. We want to be a more balanced football team, and the key to our success this year is being able to throw the football. If all those things happen, then we'll have a chance to continue. We really feel like we will.
Defending state champ Monticello started last season playing in the SimmonsFirstHootens.com kickoff week and finished as the state's only undefeated team in 2009. But 19 starters graduated, and Coach Van Pascal left for Class 3A Barton in the spring. Senior wingback Brian Hanley is back at Monticello. Hanley has 4.4 speed and rushed for more than 1,000 yards as a junior. In the 5A Southwest, CAMDEN Fairview played in its first state championship game last December. The Cardinals have won 3 conference titles in 4 years, and 6 starters return on offense, including Top Gun quarterback Brandon Keaton.
Being ranked number 2 in the state has great expectations, and I think our football team knows that they have a high bar to reach, but also our opponents know the same thing, and you become the hunted instead of the hunter, and from the standpoint of what our football team goes through as far as the other teams being ready to compete against them and have the competition that they will have, especially playing 2 number 1 ranked teams early in the season, I think brings on the big challenges for our football team.
In the ultra-competitive 5A West, Greenwood has won 4 of the past 5 league titles. The Bulldogs scored 37 points per game a year ago and opened the season ranked number 3 in the state by Hooten's Arkansas football. Greenwood could be pushed by upstart Greenbrier for the West title. Junior quarterback Neil Burcham passed for almost 3,400 yards last year and helped the Panthers advance to the semis for the first time in 30 years. One of the teams Greenbrier beat was Alma. The Airedales lost that one by 3 points and to Greenwood by 4 points, before bowing out of the playoffs with a 2-point loss at Whitehall. Alma returns half its starters, including a veteran secondary, to push for a playoff spot out of the Wild West. The Batesville Pioneers should return to power in the 5A East, even though the Pioneers lost 4 of their final 5 games last year. Batesville returns 13 starters and welcomes a talented group of sophomores. Here's Hootens.com Class 5A preseason rankings. Chapel on top after advancing to the semifinals in Class 6A the past 2 years. Watson Chapel is the team to beat in 5A, and they get that huge test against Shiloh in the season opener on Monday, August 30th at UAPB. CAMDEN Fairview allowed just 2 touchdowns per game last season. They've got more speed on defense this year. Greenwood opens number 3. The Bulldogs advanced to at least the semis 5 years in a row before losing a heartbreaker in last year's quarterfinals. Then it's Batesville and Greenbrier. Alma starts the second 5. Alma's 2 conference losses last year were by a total of 7 points. Dangerous West Helena is number 7, followed by Magnolia, Forest City, and the Bologna Eagles, who could contend for a playoff spot this year. 12 starters are back at Bologna. Wynn has won just 10 games over the past 3 years, but the Yellow Jackets returned 17 starters, and it's CAC, Whitehall, Blytheville, and Greene County Tech. Mills turns quarterback Trips Hampton. He's a good one, and the Comets have won 11 games over the past 2 years. Defending state champ Monticello won 14 times last year, but first-year coach Greg Tyner has only 3 starters back. It's the Golden Goblins at 20, then cross it, the Badgers, Little Rock Christian, Hot Springs Lakeside under first-year coach Jared McBride, and Morrilton under first-year coach Cody McNabb, who should make the Devil Dog defense much improved. The most highly regarded high school football team in Arkansas going into the season is certainly Shiloh Christian. BIGELOW has won back-to-back Class 4A state titles and finished last season ranked number 24 in America by USA Today. 15 starters are back, including quarterback Kyle Frazier, who committed to play at Auburn in the spring. The Saints want to stamp themselves as one of the top teams in state history, and they'll kick off the season playing up against Class 5A number 1 Watson Chapel during Simmons First Hootens.com kickoff week at UAPB on Monday, August the 30th. That's 2 preseason number 1 teams playing each other on opening night. The Nashville Scrappers led at Shiloh Christian 35-0 in last year's quarterfinals before losing 51-49. Those two could meet again in the playoffs this winter. Nashville returns 9 starters, including quarterback Cole Moore and some super fast receivers. First-year coach Tim Perry inherits one of the state's most tradition-rich programs.
It is exciting and it is motivating, and when you come in every day, you're motivated because you know what's expected of you here, and you can see that throughout the community. Everyone wants to know how the Scrappers are doing.
Nashville's biggest hurdle into 7-4A comes from powerful Pulaski Academy. The Bruins have won 64 games over the past 6 years. PA won Class 5A 2 years ago and were back in the semifinals last season. Clarksville could challenge Boonville in that 4-4A. Versatile skill player Wesley Foster gained almost 1,400 yards last season. The Speedy Panthers get tested immediately, though, in this year's opener by Class 3A power Charleston during Simmons First Hootens.com kickoff week at Razorback Stadium in Fayetteville. That game set for Thursday night, September the 2nd.
Charleston's a state championship type team. They're a team that will definitely find your weaknesses, and and we hope that through the ball game that we can take that game and build on it throughout the season.
Star City hasn't captured a conference championship since 2003, but the dangerous Bulldogs won 9 games last year and returned playmakers on both sides of the ball. Coaches say the boys in blue will win the 8-4A this year. Star City is picked ahead of Warren, Dumas, and Dollarway, and opens the season against defending state runner-up Lone Oak in the first high school football game of the year. Lone Oak and Star City, part of that great Monday night doubleheader in Pine Bluff.
That's a playoff type atmosphere, and you just can't duplicate that in just the regular season things at times, and it gives us a sense of urgency.
Trips left, empty! Trips left, empty!
Speaking of Lone Oak, the Jackrabbits won 11 times and played in the state championship game last fall. Second-year coach Doug Boss returns 6 starters on defense, and during the offseason, more Lone Oak athletes committed to the Upstart program.
After we went to the state championship game, it's just exciting for our community, for those kids. And after that, we went back in the off-season, and kids just really picked it up a level. They're excited for this upcoming season, and we were really excited about playing in the Hootens Classic.
Oh, it's going to be real good. It motivates us to work hard and try to get back to where we was last year and to finish this time in the state championship.
Heber Springs put together a 10-win season last fall for the first time in 30 years. But running back Braylon Mitchell signed with Arkansas, and Heber returns just 3 starters on offense. Still, Coach Jansky's team could battle for the 2-4A title. 7 starters are back on a defense that was the best in Heber history. The Clinton Yellow Jackets ran their way to a 6-0 start last season before losing its final 5, playing against the better teams like Heber and Bald Knob. Chris Dufresne has 8 starters back on defense and the fastest wing tee backfield at Clinton in his decade of coaching there. Malvern made a move last fall, winning 9 times, including 2 playoff games before losing this heartbreaker to Lone Oak by 1 in the quarterfinal. Malvern is loaded with seniors this fall and opens with Hootens.com number 9 ranking in Class 4A. The Dumas Bobcats opened ranked number 14. 6'5" Darian Griswold returns for a 3rd season as Dumas' quarterback, and Coach Mark Courtney enters his 5th season at Dumas.
I think we'll be fine this year. We're young, we're rebuilding to a degree, but we have enough of a senior nucleus to where we can be pretty good, pretty competitive in our conference, as well as statewide. We have Griswold coming back, who's had 2 pretty good years. I expect a big year out of him this year. We're going to use him in a couple different ways than we have in the past, as well as being quarterback.
Here at Hootens.com, preseason Class 4A rankings. Shiloh Christian, of course, on top. The Saints will play a rugged non-conference schedule and won't have any problem winning their 6th straight conference championship in November. There's Nashville, PA, Boonville, and Osceola starting the year at number 5. The Seminoles promoted assistant Russell Leggett to the head coaching job in July. Star City starts the second 5, followed by Lone Oak. Those two will meet in the first high school football game of the year on Monday, August the 30th in Pine Bluff. At number 10, it's the Warren Lumberjacks. Warren has won 5 straight conference championships. Number 11, Newport, moves into the 2-4A conference this year. Running back Artez Brown could emerge as one of the more exciting players in the state. Then it's Farmington and Ashdown. The Panthers promoted assistant William Frazier as their head coach in July after Chris Hill left after 2 seasons in Ashdown. Stuttgart is number 16. There's Prairie Grove and Dollarway with 17 starters back after winning just 3 games last year. Number 20, McGee, has been to the playoffs just twice in the past decade. Gravette is ranked number 23. The Lions have been to the playoffs 3 straight years. And number 25, Mena, has won just 5 games over the past 3 years.
Now, the Arkansas Air Guard Scholar Athlete of the Week.
Tradition-rich Dollarway returned starters at 17 positions this fall, including studious senior linebacker Charleston Gurley. This straight-A student especially enjoys math and one day hopes to own a business.
On the field, what you would call a complete warrior. Even in the magazine, we mentioned that he was the heart of our team.
When I first came to Dollarway my sophomore year, I seen a lot of guys that were good in football, but they couldn't go nowhere because they didn't have the grades. So my whole thing was that when I came and it was my time to play, I knew I was good, but then I also had to get my grades.
During lunch, I would walk up to him. He has a book open. He's always working. And I asked him one day, I was like, Charleston, you know, what's the guiding factor behind this? He said, Coach, I want to be something.
Congratulations to Dollarway's Charleston Gurley, the Arkansas Air Guard Scholar Athlete of the Week.
Hi, I'm Bobby Petrino. All kids need health insurance, especially if they play sports. Check out Our Kids First. If you qualify, your kids will be eligible for health insurance, including dental coverage, at no charge.
Here's the game plan. Visit ourkidsfirst.com. Call the toll-free number or visit any DHS office. You can apply online at ourkidsfirst.com or at any DHS office.
Put your kids first with Our Kids First.
Our Kids First!
Got your Friday night lights knocked out? Baptist Health Sports Medicine and Ortho Arkansas are here for you. Every Saturday morning during football season, Baptist Health and Ortho Arkansas offer a clinic for urgent sports-related injuries. From football to cheerleading mishaps, we'll get you back in the game with a team of orthopedic specialists every Saturday morning during football season. For more information, call 1-888-BAPTIST. Walk-ins welcome. Baptist Health Sports Medicine and Ortho Arkansas for all your sports medicine needs.
Our look at Class 3A begins with defending state champ Fountain Lake. The Cobras eyeing their 3rd straight conference title this fall. All-state running back Mark Macon totaled more than 2,000 yards and 28 touchdowns last year. And 7 other starters are back on offense. But for Fountain Lake to stay on top, 8 new starters on defense must come through. Fountain Lake beat the Charleston Tigers in the quarterfinals last year. That was just the 2nd loss for Coach Doug Lockridge at Charleston. And even though 11 seniors graduated, Charleston is favored again to win the 4 AAA and determined to make it back to the state finals. Charleston opens its season one night early on Thursday, September the 2nd at Razorback Stadium in Fayetteville against speedy Class 4A Clarksville. The Prescott Curly Wolves have really been on the prowl lately. Prescott has won 3 conference titles and played in 2 state championship games over the past 4 years. Quarterback C.J. Smith was the Class 3A State Farm Awards Offensive Player of the Year in 2009, but he's graduated, so the Curly Wolves will rely on their speed and athleticism early as the offense adjusts to a new signal caller.
Come on, Jason!
Could the waiting in Wilson finally be over? Rivercrest won the 3-3A last season and welcomes back many veterans, including All-State quarterback Des Moines Brown. Brown finished with more than 1,700 all-purpose yards and 20 touchdowns as a junior. Rivercrest last won a state championship in 1985. The Colts were state runner-ups in 2002 and 2003. Defending 2 AAA champion Harding Academy will likely maintain its supremacy in the conference despite saying goodbye to 3 All-State performers. Harding does welcome back quarterback Sept, who was named to the preseason Sonic Super Team. And down south in the 6th AAA, RYSEN is the favorite. RYSEN coach Clay Toddy fielded his youngest team ever last season. Among the returnees, rugged running back Rock Caldwell, who is set to become RYSEN's all-time leading rusher this fall. RYSEN opens the season ranked number 7 in the state. Here's Hoops.com Class 3A rankings headed into the season presented by Liberty Bank. It's Fountain Lake on top. Fountain Lake beat number 2 Charleston in the quarterfinals and number 3 Prescott in the title game last year. Rivercrest returned starters at 16 positions after losing to Prescott in the quarterfinals last year. And Mansfield graduated only 5 seniors from last year's team that won a school record 10 games. Harding Academy is 8th. The Wildcats could make a run at the state title if they can overcome a lack of size and depth on both lines. Barton starts the second 10 with first-year head coach Van Pascal at the helm. He led Monticello to the Class 5A championship last year. Camden Harmony Grove has a new coach. It's former Hamburg offensive coordinator Tony Chambers. And Chambers inherits 18 seniors, including 5 offensive linemen who averaged 270 pounds. Number 16 Harrisburg has won 3 conference championships in 4 years, but is picked by the conference coaches to finish 4th in the 3-3A this fall. Number 19 Episcopal ended a 3-year drought in the playoffs last year and could contend for a league championship this fall with starters back at 14 spots. Number 22 Hoxie missed the playoffs for the first time in 6 years last season. They got a lot of seniors up front and a talented group of underclassmen at the skill positions in Hoxie. And number 25 Riverview returns just 2 starters. Riverview will rely on its defense early on. Senior linebacker Chase Parson could be the school's first All-State player.
Next year is not.
In Class 2A, Coach Mike Cox and his BEARDEN Bears have won 50 games and 2 conference titles in just 4 years, but only a state championship will satisfy number 1 BEARDEN this year. The Bears must replace every starter on the defensive front. That includes 6'7" end David L. Collins, who was the jewel in Oklahoma State's 2010 signing class. But junior quarterback DeFonte Lowe and senior wingback Rashad Beats should run wild behind a strong line.
Well, really the expectations at Beard haven't changed in it. We want to make it to the state finals and we want to win one. Came up short twice. We played December the last 4 years. We expect to keep that going.
Junction City whipped BEARDEN by 10 last year in the Class 2A title game, but the 2-time defending state champs graduated 18 talented starters. State Farm awards 2A Defensive Player of the Year and Hootens.com preseason number 1 recruit Byron Jones and defensive back Alan Turner signed with the Arkansas Razorbacks. Spring Hill's season ended last year in the state semifinals at BEARDEN, but not before Rodray Jones ran for 1,700 yards and 28 touchdowns. The Sonic Super Team tailback, and Spring Hill should capture the school's first conference title in its 9 years of varsity football. The HAZEN Hornets claimed their first league title since 1985 last year by beating rivals Carlisle and Des Arc in overtime in the same season. Coach Joe Basankin's defense allowed just 8 points per game. Des Arc knows how to play some D too. The Eagles held 6 opponents to 8 points or less last year. Seniors Justin Hollis and Cody Robinson supplied Des Arc with speed and power in the backfield and in the secondary. Inexperience hurt the Carlisle Bison last year. Carlisle could not put teams away, losing in overtime to HAZEN and to Des Arc. And Carlisle did not have a breakaway threat, but the Bison still rung up 32 points a game. Coach Scott Waymeyer welcomes back starters at 17 positions.
Expectations here in Carlisle is always high, which is good for a coaching staff, because our kids know that's expected throughout the community. They know it's expected through the coaching staff, and our players, hopefully, they expect it too. And we got a good group returning. We're going to be senior laden up front. Got some good senior running backs returning with Blake Perkins, DJ Miller, Caleb Carpenter, Ben Walker. So, we feel like, if we stay healthy, we've got a chance to compete for a conference championship and make a deep run in the playoffs.
At Danville, Coach DJ Crane and the Little Johns expect to claim their 29th league title with tradition and young talent.
Well, I think we've got a lot of our skilled position players back. Our offensive line is a little bit young, but very talented and very capable. And I really think it's going to be a very good year for the Little Johns.
In Class 2A, BEARDEN opens at number 1. The Bears knocked on the title door in 2007 and last year. This fall, Coach Mike Cox and his Bears will kick that sucker in. Two-time defending state champ Junction City must rebuild, but come playoff time, the Dragons will be salty again. Fourth-ranked Magnet Cove drops down from Class 3A, immediately becomes a state title contender. There's HAZEN number 5, followed by Desart, Danville, Carlisle, and McCrory. McCrory will not beat those 3AA teams by a 45-point margin like it did last year, but the Jaguars should repeat as conference champs. Parker's Chapel starts the second 10 after winning a school record 8 games a year ago. The Two Rivers Gators must change their color scheme and their logo after the University of Florida took offense. If those colors don't turn black and blue with injuries, quarterback Blake Noakes and the Gators will play Magnet Cove for the 5AA title this year. Number 20 Walnut Ridge made clear its commitment to football and Coach Larry Treadway after Melbourne made a run at him in the spring. Coach Tommy Cody takes over at number 21 Woodlawn. There's Bigelow and Vince Perrin at number 23 Mineral Springs.
Arkansas State University. One howl of an experience. Text HOWL to 74700.
Thanks for watching Hooten's Arkansas football today. Don't forget SimmonsFirstHootens.com kickoff week just a few days away now. Great doubleheaders in Pine Bluff and at Razorback Stadium. You see the matchups there on Monday night at UAPB. So we'll look forward to seeing you in Pine Bluff on that Monday night and every week at this time throughout the football season for Hooten's Arkansas football.
You've been watching Arkansas's most watched sports show, Hooten's Arkansas Football.
Coach Brad Bolding's Wildcats won their first conference title in more than a decade last season, but running back Tim Johnson and most of the playmakers graduated. In Class 6A, teams from the South continue to dominate. Defending state champ El Dorado returns one of Arkansas's better offenses. Senior quarterback Taylor Reed passed for more than 2,300 yards and 21 touchdowns last year. Lake Hamilton has won 30 games and advanced to at least the semifinals each of the past 3 years, but the Wolves lost 3 of their final 5 games last year and must break in a new quarterback this fall. And at Russellville, the Cyclones could storm into the 6A playoffs after battling mostly 7A teams in the regular season. Russellville must replace starters at most positions, but Coach Jeff Holt's Cyclones usually improve late in the year. Here's Hootens.com Class 7A rankings presented by Liberty Bank. Going into the year, Bentonville on top. The top-ranked Tigers have won 3 straight 7A West titles and look to return to Little Rock this December. Number 2 Har-BER has played in 2 of the last 3 state championship games, won it all a year ago. And North Little Rock has never played for a state title, but the improving Charging Wildcats won 9 games a year ago. North Little Rock opens the season at Bentonville this year. Number 4 Heritage took eventual state champ Har-BER to overtime, as well as winning at Southside. Southside has played in 3 of the last 4 state championships. And starting the second 5, it's West Memphis, competing in Class 7A this season after winning 6 straight conference championships. Little Rock Central has a new coach, Scooter Register, but the Tigers haven't won a game since 2007. Conway checks in at number 11 after the expected starting quarterback decided not to play just 3 days before practice began in early August. Springdale opens at number 12, then it's Catholic, Northside, and Rogers. In Class 6A, defending state champ El Dorado is on top. The Wildcats won it all for the first time last year, could win back-to-back state titles, and in his 3rd season at Jonesboro, Randy Coleman has made the Hurricane a state title contender. Russellville returns just 3 starters on each side of the ball and plays mostly Class 7A teams as a member of that 7A Central Conference during the regular season. Pine Bluff got field turf in the summer, and that should help the Zebras capitalize on their speed. Number 10 Searcy won 4 games last year, which is more than the previous 4 years combined. Number 11 Sheridan hired former college assistant coach Lewis Campbell in the spring, and the Yellow Jackets look to make the playoffs for the 5th straight season.